What is this for? The way these lights are on these why is there a second camera? It's recording right now?
Both of them are, yes.
Oh. So what's the interview going to be about?
Which one am I supposed to be looking at?
The one in the front.
I'm in the frame now. Alright. Why isn't that one on if those two are? What about that one?
I interviewed everybody.
I got this.
Can you state your first name, what subgroup you're in, and what other roles you have on the team during competition?
Shit, I'm actually intimidated.
What were your thoughts after seeing the game explanation video?
The game this year is definitely interesting. It's a lot more being on your side, a lot more strategy this year than definitely from last year, and it's very unique from previous year's games.
My immediate thought was that this was not going to be like any other game we had done before. I knew that this was going to be something a little bit more challenging, something we would have to design ahead of time rather than figure out as we were building it.
Well, it's different every year, but this year it seemed a little bit more intricate than normal. It just seemed like there was a lot more going on in different places instead of one common goal. There was different options for everybody. Just trying to figure out, I felt like it was more going to be built around strategy instead of just speed and throwing a game piece to get points.
It was surprising to see an actual quote-unquote water game after it was rumored about so much, but even though it was water-themed, it was an actual water. And it did look a little more complicated because with the last competition, there was just like an intake of one game piece, but now there was like 2 different game pieces of 2 different sizes of material.
Because the game pieces were two very different sizes and shapes, whereas like the cones and cubes game was you could do everything with the same intake essentially, whereas this year the 2 different game pieces are extremely different and you're going to need to make some seriously different adaptations and to be able to pick up and use and manipulate those game pieces.
We had a lot of challenges designing wise with a balance between keeping reasonable designs that were within the parameters of the weight limit.
We had the weight issue after we actually ended up weighing in and found out that the robot itself is 109 pounds and my climber is 15.4, I think.
This is the first year we've really started implementing CAD, and I think there was challenges there, and I wasn't directly involved with CAD, but I know there were definitely challenges with trying to balance functionality with design. We had to make compromises, which were probably the hardest things. Getting everyone to agree on everything is probably the thing that takes up a lot of our time during build season, making sure we all have a design we can agree on and keep exploring that design until we have a fully built robot.
In terms of programming, I think the biggest challenge was probably making the robot more efficient. Whatever build came up with and sent to us, we would have to make it faster and so that we could get more points in the game. And so there were a lot of challenges with like the preciseness of this game. We had to make the robot able to do all those precise movements. We had to stay up here real late and work on the robot.
We were worried about our autos, so we were trying to work on our autos the most. And then the other stuff such as the intake, the elevator, and the swerve, that came along pretty easily.
Because we only got it like a day or 2 before competition. So we had to once we had programmed the robot, we had to change all the values to make sure that it worked with the game.
I really thought it was just going to become like a practice competition almost because, I mean, we didn't have most things that we wanted done for programming done. So I kind of went into every practice match and I was telling Zach and the team this, that like we should try to go for something different every match, like an L3 or an L2. We're trying to do the allergy just so we kind of get used to how the robot feels and what we're probably going to be best at during the competition. I mean, I really thought like programming wise and drive wise was kind of almost me a practice because me and the team hadn't gotten used to the robot yet.
And then Thursday practice was absolutely, for lack of a better term, like disaster. Nothing worked. Some of our set points were off. The arm had trouble. I made a few mistakes during some of the matches, and by the end of Thursday, it wasn't really looking good. I thought Rocket City was just gonna go to waste, to be honest. We also faced a lot of mechanical problems with our robot, such as set points being off, like arm not necessarily working the way we wanted it to, the arm not working at all. In fact, sometimes middle of the matches I pressed buttons and the arm wouldn't go up, elevator wouldn't go up. We had a lot of problems with our code, mechanical issues.
That wasn't the best day for us. We were still trying to figure out how to drive the robot because a lot of our practice was that day. Because, I mean, before that, we only had like a few hours of practice. And so me and a team were using it as practice to try to figure out how L3 worked, how L4 worked, how the algae worked. And then
I was surprised at how much it could do, but also at the same time, I was kind of scared because I didn't want it to get damaged after like seeing the amount of time that people put into it. I was kind of, it seemed somewhat fragile to me.
Our human player said that he heard some grinding sounds of the robot whenever it passed by, whenever the elevator would go up and down. And it was actually not the elevator gearbox, but it was the 90-degree planetary gearbox that we had mounted inside the carriage of our elevator that pivoted the arm. And whenever we were testing it in the pit, we heard a loud bang inside the robot. And then when we took the plate off and then took the gearbox out, we realized that one of the 9-to-1 planetary cartridges actually exploded inside the robot and it blew up into multiple pieces. It was a bit of a panic because we were like, we are the third match for qualifiers the next day and we didn't have very much time.
Let me go to like two. Let's just make sure this is on the field. You definitely said nothing.
Okay.
Scouting helps the team just because some people in pit just can't see the matches, or when you're in pit and drive team, it's just hard to look at the robots and actually just analyze them.
I thought it was really interesting just seeing how the different teams looked at the game and what they brought out of it. And I like seeing all the different capabilities of the robots.
I just like walked into that venue not knowing what to expect, and I saw all these teams, and it was just completely crowded, and I was like, whoa, it was pretty cool. And then like we got to go to our seats, and like I got to see the actual like stuff for the first time, like the pits and stuff, and I'm like, this is not what I was expecting at all.
We just figure out what their robot's about, where they start, what they do, how they perform during the match. But it's kind of hard for Build and Pit to see that while they're trying to fix the robot and stuff.
So we got the new gearbox made and we got it mounted.
Match number 3. 15.
And the arm, when it went to the human player set point, it instead of being pointed up, it was pointed backwards. Like it was inverted 180 degrees. And we didn't understand what was wrong with it. We tried to change the set points in code.
The first 2 matches were qualification, were questionable. It still looked like the day before from practice matches. Nothing's working.
Because all of the sensors were plugged in right, all of the motor controllers were fine. There was no CAN issues, no power issues. And then we realized that when we went into the Rev hardware, to actually see what the encoder was reading, we realized that it was actually backwards. So I had to take the arm off and then take the encoder off and actually flip the thing around so that the motor would actually be correct and the encoder would be correct.
Somehow we got the code working, the robot started working, the arm actually started working.
And then once we did that,
Ties it up. 45 all. And 38-24 scores up top at level 4.
We started winning and won 7 times in a row.
The 7 matches after that were just beautiful.
I saw our team thriving, seeing Brady and Atib drive so perfectly well, and then our coach Zach was doing amazing.
Had our time stamps that we get in between matches, switch between the blue lines to the red lines, things like that. Except for we did have a little bit of a weather issue there, so we ended up playing all of our qualifications in one day on Friday instead of finishing them Saturday morning. So that was a bit different for everybody, and I think everybody was pretty much exhausted after that. And that was kind of a new experience for everybody. So.
And then, of course, we lost our last 2 matches, but I mean, at that point in the night, I was just kind of ready to go home because I was really tired.
After we won those 7 matches, we were in 12th place. But then ending the day, we lost 2 of the last matches. So our placement was like just dead center.
I don't know. Yeah, it's the hard thing. Yes, you can cheer.
Our last spot in the Alliance selection process. Your 90 seconds are on the clock. Your time starts now, and you're already coming up here. You know who you want. What do you say?
Team 2338 would like to invite Team 10011 to our...
But me and Atib were just out there, and we were looking at the other people get picked, and we just didn't get picked.
For the most part, I thought we were going to get selected as the first pick or second pick, and we did not. And I think that's mostly because we just weren't from the area. We didn't know many of the teams. And so it was kind of upsetting a little bit when we didn't get selected.
I wasn't super happy, but I don't think I was truly ever upset. I mean, there's been years we haven't gotten picked before, and it doesn't mean you're a bad player. It just means there's people that either didn't see how you shine through the other players, or maybe they were just they knew other people who have been there before.
Me and Aiden were there we might get picked, and then we didn't get picked. And every time we don't get picked for Alliance, there's this awkward silence that falls upon the team because we feel like we deserved it.
But then Miss Lovely came up to me, Jordan Taylor, and was like, "Hey, I'm finna need y'all to scout."
I need a team representative from 3468. Okay. Hi. Are y'all willing to be a backup bot?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead and initial in the accept column right there.
Okay, so what's going on is the Alliance team captain is a kit bot. So they're trying to get them to drop out so that they can get us in, and there's more likely chance that we'll win.
Hi, I'm Rim. I'm on the marketing and media subgroup, and at competition, my role is the duck. Okay, so basically the duck mainly follows Drive Team around and takes pictures and videos of them while they're on the field and also whenever we're in the pit. And I basically got the duck name from our previous senior, Valen, when she was at our first competition last year. She had a headband and had basically glued a little yellow duck to it, and I've just kind of kept that into play for our other competitions.
How did your job change?
Oh, it got a lot more frantic because there was like a lot less time in between the different matches.
Our mentor pulled us to the side and was like, hey, we need you all three to immediately start scouting all three like robots on both alliances so that we know who we're going against and we will have the information on them before so we can just have our strategy. And so me, Jalen, and Taylor all started collecting information on the robots that were in the upper bracket to see, hey, okay, what are both alliances' strategies so that we already know their strategy for when we're up against them. Because there's not really a lot of time in between whenever one alliance went and then like there was another match and then that alliance that lost in that previous match went against us and there wasn't a lot of time to just goof around.
Whenever Alliance 8 subbed out their team captain for us, it was crazy. You know, I started hearing rumors from people that we would be playing, and I was like, how could this happen? And then, you know, whenever I saw us on the field, it was amazing. It was a great feeling.
Final 20 seconds. Teams heading back. 34-68 MAGNAtech. One last down. 10 seconds to go. Here's Secret City to get up on a shallow cage. Look like down at 5 seconds. You get off the ground. Goes over. 3, 2.
At first it was kind of like, okay, it's just another match, but as we progressed, it was more and more stress on all of us. But every time we would win, it was more an excitement, like we can do this. And it kind of helped push us forward as we would go.
Blue Death. MAGNAtech machine. Scoring 4 points. And they pulled it into 7-point margin. It's going to come right down to the buzzer on this match.
I think you got it. I think we got it. I think we got it. I'm like shaking right now.
Will be the Blue Alliance. The Red Alliance is scoring away with the score 162. Alliance 8 will move on to face Alliance 1 in match 13. Alliance
went on to beat Alliance 3, 4, and 5 before losing to Alliance 1 at the end. But I mean, we battled our way through the losers bracket, which was kind of fun. And I mean, it's the farthest our team's ever gotten in like our history. And so, I mean, it was very interesting to be a part of that and to figure out things on the fly and all that sort of stuff.
You know, we got the chance to be the first sub in, and we got put into the second match, and then we ran to the finals the semifinals at that point, and finished in third overall with our alliance. So, and we were the last alliance on the bracket. So, I think we did pretty good once we got in there.
As of right now, they're working on a redesign of the robot, and we're working on programming right now to try and get alignment better and get L4 better to hopefully maybe try to go to Bayou and win. Because I mean, we got so close to just being in the finals matches at Rocket City with an underprepared robots, and we believe we can maybe even get into finals and maybe even win if we can get these things done.
Bayou's coming, and we're gonna do just fine.
I think I just like rushed it a bit too much, so yeah. Hey, we won that. Yep. We won. I'm trying to keep it from Alright, let's tighten it up, look at things again, double check everything, see what happened.
What was done in preparation for Bayou?
So we made some modifications to the robot. We switched out the intake for a completely different arm, and then we changed the coral from instead of being like a spear that goes inside the coral to changing it into a box that has a wheel that's on top of the box to make intaking it a lot faster and a lot easier.
We pretty much changed our intake system and the shooting mechanism to where we could score at all 4 levels of the goal. So we had to change our L1, L2, L3, L4 set lines based on the new intake, and then we also added new autonomous commands to go with it.
When we went to Rocket City, we had no climber, so we basically had to figure out how to put a climber on the robot that would actually be underweight and allow us to actually be able to, climb.
We kind of decided that was going to be one of the more important things for Bayou is being able to hang, because that would have been crucial in Rocket City and probably would have got us a lot farther if we could have.
Sure, we knew we could get the hanger on there. We just had to cut some weight, and we definitely cut a lot of weight, and we were still kind of at the limit there. But we got a lot of that fixed and a lot of that changed. We did a lot of scouting on the teams we were going up against, since we had a better feel for the game now and how to play the game, and just got our feet wet at Rocket City. This way we were able to manipulate things a little bit better, I guess, and understand how the strategy worked between different teams, like the teams that were doing well, the ones that weren't doing bad, just being able to tell what was a good strategy and bad strategy in order to prepare for Bayou.
We completely scrapped scout radios and went to a Google form just for temporary purposes so that we could get data easier.
The information taken on Google Forms was put automatically into a spreadsheet, and we could just see all the information in the spreadsheet.
Practice matches? Oh, they were pretty chill, honestly. We looked at a few of them. I know the scouts did a lot more work than I did on the practice match day. But yeah, we looked at them. We looked at what bots we liked the most.
For Bayou, I think we had more of a game plan coming in. We definitely knew a lot more what we were doing. Huntsville, it was the first time we were going there, so we really didn't have a clear idea of what we were gonna do. Bayou, we had more experience. I think that applies to any year. The first competition you go to is sort of like a testing field. You're seeing what works, what doesn't. And for the second competition, of course, you're well seasoned into the season, and you, especially for the drivers, as a robot operator, I know better what I'm doing. I know what buttons to push. I had new buttons coming to Bayou, so I knew what to do there because I had more practice. From the 2 years I've been driver, I think this is the best practice day that we've had. Bayou practice day, it definitely gave me a lot more confidence in what our robot could do. I felt going into Bayou that we would do really well. Practice day was pretty solid.
But I also felt a lot more prepared going into Bayou, which was the main thing of there's a lot more driver practice. We had an auto, we had all these other things. We knew our flaws going into it, and so it wasn't as big of surprises every single day or after every single match. Which that was until our last practice match where we might have broke the elevator a little bit, but it was okay.
Yeah, when the elevator came off its tracks, I thought we were screwed at that point too. I thought qualifiers was gonna go horribly. The bearing in one of the bearing blocks at the bottom of the first stage, or the outermost stage that moves, had gotten stuck inside the weight relief holes that we had on the outer stage that stays stationary. And so whenever that happened, one of the team's mentors from Rad Robotics, 7111, he came over and was like, this happened to us during practice matches. And so he kind of told us what to do, and all we had to do was loosen the bolt off that was holding that bearing in that got stuck in the weight relief hole, and then take a pry bar and just bend the outside piece of aluminum out, and then everything fell right back into place. And so That was a lot better of a fix than I thought it was going to be. I thought we were fixing to take everything apart. And that was just going to end our whole qualifier day. So, all in all, it was fun.
Definitely were watching the matches more, and then I was also listening to people talk about their robot and what they could do, like their main strategies.
This was pretty much my first year with not being on the drive team, but I could still sense the pressure that was there with like 54 teams competing. So it was definitely an intense environment, but our robot was much better than we expected it to be.
I was personally shocked because of how far we got. We were able to get so many ranking points. We got the highest we'd ever gotten in qualifying in the whole team's history. We ended up being a great ally, and I think we just were able to work with others really well. I really have to say that I was like nervous because we were right there in the top.
So we finished in 11 overall, 11 out of 55 in qualifications, which was really good for us.
And so like it kind of kept going through team after team, and we're like, oh, they might pick us, and then it got to this one team, Blue Ignition. We had just played with them in our last match. We won while still one robot down from the other team. We felt really good about that match. They seemed to really like us coming out of it. And so whenever they got up to pick as an alliance captain, like I kind of looked at Brandon and was like, they might pick us. And then I couldn't really hear anything because all the speakers are facing towards the stands, and we're back from that. So I just hear like mumbling. And then I just see Aiden walk onto the screen, and I got really excited because we actually got picked here.
Team 3468 MAGNAtech Robotics graciously accept.
So when the build people immediately got to work on one of our shortcomings in like our last match or two, they got to make it so we couldn't get a coil stuck in us.
The gummies is rejected from the net. Still close match right here. One play separate the two here. Mid 40 seconds remaining. Come on! Back in the game. Game time. 10 less than 10 points. Shot like them. As you see, 90-67. Ascending to the surface. The gummies are up off the floor. Will we get somebody else to join them? 3 blue robots there. 2 red.
It was a really close match, which we eventually won. But that was a little scary to see the numbers that close. And then the second match,
Whenever we did that, I was driving, and I was kind of going a little bit faster. And whenever we do that, the elevator's still up a bit. We have chances to tip, and we tipped a little bit, and there was an algae there, and it sent us fully onto our side. And that was kind of it for the match because we only had one team really scoring.
Oh gosh. When the robot fell on its side.
I remember when the robot fell, I was like, no! Which is really bad. And then, after that, we realized our robot couldn't get up.
brought it back to the pit, and nothing was bent, nothing was twisted. Everything looked amazing. The elevator ran up and down. It wasn't skipping, and there was no like skips in the chain or anything like that. The intake arm was straight. The hex shaft that the intake arm runs on was straight. None of the motors had blown or none of the gearbox had blown, so everything was fine after that. And so I was like, okay, maybe we can do better.
The other team was playing really hard defense, while our defense spot just wasn't able to replicate the same on the other side. And so we ended up losing and getting sent home, which kind of sucked, but it still felt good that we had broken some records this year.
We did pretty well overall, I would say. Not as well as we hoped for Rocket City. We were back up at Rocket City, but when we got put in, we won every match up until the end there, almost. Or the end of the fourth round. So we didn't go as far in the playoffs as we did at Rocket City, but we were ranked higher, and we were in a higher position on our alliance going into the playoffs. And we still only finished one round off from where we finished at Rocket City. So I would say overall we did better in Bayou than we did at Rocket City.
Yeah, being a first pick is, I think, our second time in our history. Winning our first match in winners, and then at Rocket City getting into the third place alliance. It was like some really big milestones, and like I could feel proud knowing that. And even though it's kind of sad that this is how the season ended, I was happy nonetheless of taking the team as far as we could.
Well, there's lots of things that are next. We've got lots of recruiting to do for our 8th graders that are coming up.
I think what's next is, I know me and another business person wants to learn CADing, because CADing is great for the robot, and we also use a lot of 3D print designs for our giveaways, but business people don't make the giveaways. And I feel like if more people in business knew how to actually make it and design it themselves, our giveaways would be way better.
We plan on, if all goes well, developing an entirely new app for scouting, and this will hopefully sort through all this stuff better, visualize it better, strategize just better. Like we could analyze patterns better, and it would just be everything we've ever wanted.
To refine our code that we had this year, to make it a lot more smoother, and maybe add a couple of more autonomous spots.
How we can use limelights to our advantage, just cameras in general to our advantage, to have the robot have a better sense of the field.
Each year we do a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better, and that kind of goes back to one of those sayings that Mr. Lane always tells us: is winning begets winning, is what he tells us. So you're not going to go from 0 to hero overnight, but the more you win each step, you get better and better and better, and you learn how to stay there as you go. So it's improving in small pieces.
Our team has grown so much this year in the way we do things, especially this year with our seniors taking a big focus on computer-aided design and kind of laying out the whole design of this robot before the competition ever rolls in. And so I think we have great potential in this area, especially in our build group, for the future of our team to look more like some of the more professional teams with completely CADed robots, with very precision made parts and everything made to function with several steps ahead in mind, because we've in previous years designed as we went, basically. And I think for the future of this team, we're going to have much more functional robots, since we're relying more on design and getting the students involved in kind of being creative with how we design our robots.